This is the second edition of the C&J podcast. I'm Josh Sachnoff with SUX Sports.
I'm Chris Neyenhouse with KMEG Sports.
And we have recaps along with predictions for who's going to win in some of the high school games this week as well as college games this week. But I want to start out. Chris, you went to your first Iowa and Iowa State game this week. What did you think of it being being an outsider and from the Buffalo area?
It was crazy. We don't have games like this from New York. Like, New York college football Syracuse was all right for a little while, but we're terrible now. And there isn't even a rival. There wasn't a rival locally for Syracuse when they were any good. So I've never seen something like this. It was awesome. The atmosphere was great. Everybody goes nuts. I loved the crowd, the passion of the fans. I wish I could go there. One of those games every week. I wish I could go.
Really, and I've never personally experienced it, so I'm going to have to experience it at some point in my life. But while you were there, I kind of ventured up to Michigan, hit the 2 games in one day. The Michigan with Jim Harbaugh, his first game at the Big House since he was a player. It was an unbelievable atmosphere that I can't really describe, and they came away with their first win of the season over Oregon State, a very convincing win. And even Jake Rudock had a solid game as well. He bounced back from his 3-interception game at Utah. That night, of course, it was the showdown with Michigan State and my former school, Oregon. The Ducks had their chances. Couldn't get it in from the 1-yard line in the first half, something that they've struggled to do. They had issues against Auburn and Ohio State in both of those national championships. And this costed them, along with a Vernon Adams missed pass to Byron Marshall in the end zone. And that was kind of the deciding factor. But 2 really good teams, and Michigan State is in that hunt for one of the playoff spots. So that's with the college football. Now we want to kind of go into this week. Now, Chris, tell me about your game of the week for KMEG, high school-wise.
It's the battle of ranked teams in Class A. You have 5th-ranked South O'Brien over in Paulina. They're hosting 7th-ranked West Sioux. Paulina, or I always call it Paulina. It's South O'Brien.
We've had these issues before.
Yes, Struve, the running back, who's an absolute monster. He's supposed to be out for this game. And West Sioux is coming off an offensive explosion where they defeated Lawton Bronson, and their quarterback, Porter Hummel, set a state record with 583 yards passing. Keston Blankenship's an all-everything running back. It looks like there's going to be a lot of points in this game.
That's incredible for him to do that in one game. Was there anything that led up to this where he is actually, he is putting these types of numbers up? Not those types of numbers, but decent numbers before, because I'm not as familiar with these schools because they're not in the metro area.
Yeah, Ryan Schweisaw, the head coach, is in his 3rd year, and it just so happens that these big-time seniors have grown from sophomores to seniors in that time, and Porter Hummel is one of those guys. He's a big-game pitcher. He just pitched the Falcons 1-0 over Remsen St. Mary's to get into the state playoffs. It was because of his arm, and he shut out an amazing Remsen team. That guy is a great athlete. It's no surprise that he's doing so well.
It's really interesting to hear about these, even smaller town schools with these players that are making these types of plays and racking up that kind of yardage in those games. But when I'm with the metro area again this week, and tomorrow night I have East and I have Council Bluffs Abraham Lincoln. Connor Kosa put on one heck of a performance last week, 5 touchdowns against North, which is absolutely crazy. And Dom Flemister is having quite a year, I would say. I mean, you've seen Dom Flemister a few times. I mean, what do you think of him kind of as a player and a main target in their pass game?
He's just been phenomenal. He's a guy that when he gets the ball, you almost never see him go for negative yardage or somebody stop him on the first hit. He is the definition of a player you have to gang tackle, and that's been what I've seen from him. They have a couple good running backs there at East that can really get things going, and you have to have a good defensive line when you play East to try to slow them down, get those initial hits. That's something that East was able to do when they Heelan was able to do when they beat East. And that's kind of the recipe. Not sure if Council Bluffs Abe Lincoln's going to have that.
And going along, with the running back situations, they have Skylar Scoglin, Terrell Hills, and Taylor Flemister. They are three deep in the backfield. They have that ginormous line that they have as well. And I think East is, they've really bounced back since losing that tough heartbreaker to Heelan. And I don't see Council Bluffs Abraham Lincoln being able to take them down, because even though that they have, they have Frank Jerkovich, who has 311 yards and 3 touchdowns this year. But really, it took him till the last minute to beat Council Bluffs Thomas Jefferson last week on a final drive. So really, you kind of got to lean towards East in that situation. But seeming I already did my pick for that game, let's go in. I got Sioux City East big in this one. Who do you have for your first high school game pick between Abe Lincoln and Sioux City East?
Yeah, I got to go with East again for pretty much the same reasons that you said. I think East has been on a mission ever since they lost to Heelan, and I think that continues here. About a little bit before the second half, they really just turned things on against North. They seem to have that ability, and I think they'll do that again against AL.
And then we go into Sergeant Bluff Luton at Rock Valley. That should be a really interesting contest. Both have really good running backs.
Yeah, Boynton Hole Rock Valley snuck into the top 10 for the first time this season, and they're looking really good. Sergeant Bluff Luton's defense has been off and on. They're going to have to be on when they head up to Rock Valley.
Who do you have in this one?
I got BHRV. I think they're going to keep. Things rolling. Sergeant Bluff Luton's running back Matt George is one of my favorite players. I hate picking against him, but Boynton Hole Rock Valley is a team that just put on a great performance against Sioux Center. Sioux Center was down some key players, but I really feel like they're going to keep things going. I think they're a team that has shown this so far this season that they're really hitting their stride at the right time.
Right, and even what you said about Sergeant Bluff Luton, they're very off and on. And even what I saw against West last week as the spotlight game for SUX Sports is West kind of hung with them for a little bit in that game. And they got a few key passes and stuff like that. And I look at RVBH and I say, you know what, this is one of the best teams I think could be in 3A. And I can't wait to watch them play Heelan, later in October, should I say. And I am also going to agree with you on that. I'm going with Rock Valley in this game as well. Then we kind of move into Sioux City North and Sioux City West, both kind of struggling heading into this showdown between crosstown rivals. Who do you have in this one?
I'm going with North. I mean, I can't wait to see Noah McQuell versus Dion Claiborne. I'm really excited for that matchup. I think they're both the kind of guys that like to put their team on their back, and they both have great physical traits, and it's going to be fun from that standpoint. North hung in there against East. I was very impressed with them, and that's why I'm picking them. West was not a team that was able to ever really hang in there with East. So if you just look at that as a litmus test, that's what I see. And
you also could say West sort of hung in with Fort Dodge, and North was blown out right away.
True. You make a good point.
But you know what? I'm going to go with the Stars as well in this one. I think the Stars are going to win probably by 2 touchdowns, and I'm also really excited to hear about Dion Claiborne versus Noah McWell in that game as well. 2 really good athletes. Now we move into Bishop Heelan Catholic and Spencer. They're one of the only undefeated Metro schools still. Who do you have in this one?
Yeah, well, Bishop Heelan is a team that I feel like I should never actually pick against after what I saw. So, I picked against them week 1 against East, and I don't know if I'm ever going to do it again, which puts me on the wrong side of the hate Heelan argument. Because I know everyone either loves them or hates them, and right. You know what, though? I don't want to do that. So, and even
you're not even from here too. Being from Sioux City, I've kind of been through that.
Yeah,
through that.
Spencer's a very charismatic city, and some really good people that we've met. So far, they have such good sports teams. So I really like them, but you got to go with Heelan.
I'm also going to go with Heelan in this one. I like Sabian and Odessa Clark. They're big playmakers. And also last week, Spencer lost to Rock Valley 27-7, which I guess isn't too bad considering how good Rock Valley is.
Right.
Now, our last one for high school slate is Vermilion at Dakota Valley.
Someone's got to win, right? They're both 0-3. So Dakota Valley, I think they win this one at homecoming. I think they looked good in the beginning against Madison. I liked what I saw. I'm hoping that that's what we see from them for their sake. I mean, Vermilion, I think will put up a good fight, but I think in the end it's going to be the Panthers.
Vermilion beat them last year. I got to go with Dakota Valley. I think they kind of hung around with T area last week. And you know what? I think Dakota Valley is finally going to get that win this year. Vandenhall, I got you winning one this week.
Tanagers is just teenagers without the extra E. Just so you know.
That's true.
Yes.
That is true.
They don't have a real mascot, in my opinion. It's like, hey, they're just, of course they're teenagers.
They're teenagers. And now we go to the big slate. We got college football games this week. Number 14, Georgia Tech, traveling to South Bend to take on the Irish, who have a lot of injuries right now.
They do. I believe in Brian Kelly. I think he's been a great coach. I'm picking Notre Dame just because I don't know any better.
And I really think this is going to be a close game. Notre Dame is going to have to try and shut down that triple option, and Notre Dame's defense has been stingy so far this season, even though Georgia Tech has been averaging 67 points per game. I'm going to go with the Irish in a close one and agree with you on this one, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
Now, move on to Nebraska at Miami, a very intriguing matchup. Can Al Golden finally get that win? And what do you think about the Huskers potentially losing a second non-conference game this year?
I know. Well, we grew up in the era where this would have been such an amazing game back in 1995. Two teams I'd love to see get back on the wagon, so to speak. I'm picking Nebraska in this one because I think Mike Riley is a better coach than a lot of fans are giving him credit for. I think he's got this one.
And I experienced firsthand Nebraska and Miami last year. Great atmosphere. They don't have Amir Abdullah this year. And Brad Kai is a good quarterback. But I also think Nebraska, after that BYU loss, I think that really took a toll on them. And I think they bounced back well last week. And I think they go into Miami and they get a big win. Now we kind of shift to the SEC. We have number 18 Auburn, who struggled last week, against number 13 LSU, who held on late against Mississippi State. Who do you got in this one, Chris?
Les Miles seems to be very good at getting his troops ready for big games. They seem to always screw up one or two games that you didn't think they were going to lose. I think this is a big game. Auburn's 18th ranked. They're only a little bit behind LSU's 13th ranking. I think LSU pulls out the win.
At home. At Death Valley at night. Tough place to win. I think Leonard Fournette is one of the best in the country, best running backs. He is going to be a Heisman contender at the end of the season. And Jeremy Johnson really hasn't done what many expected for him to be at Auburn right when he started this year. I'm also going to go with LSU in a tough battle, SEC, battle of the trenches. Going with the Tigers in this one. And then another SEC West matchup, the big one of the day. We have Ole Miss at Alabama. Ole Miss racking up 74.5 points per game this year so far.
Yeah, I want to be wrong on this. I'm picking Alabama because Ole Miss and Mississippi State, I feel like I keep waiting for them to, be the type of teams that can make it through an entire season at that top spot like they did. I think it was last year or whatever year it was where they just dropped off at the end. I mean, Ole Miss, I think I just don't think they're going to do it. They got to show me that first. I haven't seen it, and I think Alabama's going to win.
Got a good pick with you on this one. I got Alabama in this one. It's going to be a close game, and I like Derrick Henry. He can bulldoze defenses. Even though, Robert Kindiche is on the other side of that ball, and Ole Miss have some weapons on offense. They really haven't faced anyone too good this year. I like Alabama at home in that one. And our last one of the night, kind of a surprising one to be on this list, but we got number 19 BYU at number 10 UCLA.
Yeah, well, I'm going with BYU because I always feel like UCLA seems to be overrated. This is another one I'd rather be wrong on because I want a good UCLA team. I want to be wrong on this, but I have a feeling BYU is going to go in there and they're going to the big city and they're going to get things done.
And Tanner Mangum has done a great job. 2 big Hail Marys. They've beaten Nebraska, and they've beaten Boise State. Already 2 big wins. Even if they lose this one, they're going to probably be in at-large bid for that for the New Year's Six. And I have UCLA in that one. But those are our picks for this week. and excited for some college football and some high school football as well. Thanks for being on the show, Chris.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yep, and we'll see you next week.